Oh, hello there, everyone. I see we've got Miss Mott and Miss Christensen joining us for bedtime stories today. And I see you've got your water bottle ready to hydrate you in case you get too parched as you're reading. Oh, and I see Miss Christensen has a lovely mug. My mug's in the dishwasher right now, so I'm borrowing the Live with Lucky one. But Miss Christensen, is this that social justice book you were going to share with us? Tell us can you remind me what social justice means?
Yeah, so social justice is that belief or thought that everyone should be treated fairly, regardless of like our skin color or what we look like. But yeah.
And what's the first book we're going to read for this whole series? We're going to do a monthly series. What's the first one?
It's called Different, and it's a story about loving your neighbor. And the author, his name is Chris Singleton, not to be confused with the country singer. This is a different guy. He's a professional athlete. He played for the Chicago Cubs, and now he's dedicated his whole life to talking to students and teachers around the world about what it means to love your neighbor.
I wonder if he is friends with LeBron James, because we were just reading a book last week in media class that LeBron James wrote about making promises, and one of them was to be a great neighbor. So love that connection.
That is a great connection.
They are on the same page there. And speaking of getting on the same page, Miss Christensen, do you want to start us off? And Miss Mott, you could hold the book up so we can all see it, and then we could do a little switcheroo every page or so.
Yeah, that segue was beautiful. All right. I do want to point out that this is dedicated to his mom and his dad, who have both passed, but that's why he wrote this story. And this story is partially about him. It's a true story about him. Okay. Are we ready, Miss Mott, on the first? Yes, that's a beautiful first page. Tomorrow, Obina thought. Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the most important day since Dad got his new job in the United States. Obina had thought about it on the plane all the way from Nigeria. He thought about it while people in uniforms stamped his parents' paperwork. He thought about it during the long, hot car ride to Charleston. Now they were finally here. And so was tomorrow, the first day of school.
He carefully smoothed the front of his dashiki. Obina loved his traditional clothes. They took him back home, back to Nigeria. The reds were like the setting sun, crimson behind the mountains. The golds glimmered like the dancing grasses of the savannah. The blues shone like the endless depths of the warm, living ocean. Tomorrow, he thought, tomorrow he would show all his classmates what it was to be Nigerian.
The next morning, Obina gulped down his breakfast and rushed out the door. His sneakers pounded the sidewalk. Pound, pound, pound. He ran past the neighbors, around the corner store, toward the school gates.
And straight into Miss Sharonda. Careful, Sugarfoot, cried Miss Sharonda. But then she smiled. You're a strong runner. As long as you look where you're going, she said with a wink. New student? I believe you're in my class, right over here.
The classroom was noisy, like classrooms usually are in the beginning of the school day. But when Obina walked in, there was a sudden, uncomfortable silence. 20 students were already in the room, and 20 pairs of eyes took in Obina's clothing, his hair, his difference. Then 20 people started laughing. Look at his clothes, said one boy. I would never wear that to school, said a girl. And where did he get that haircut? Laughed another. Hush now, said Mrs. Sharonda, but it was too late.
Whew, I gotta take a deep breath. That page was hard on my heart. Obina burst out of the room and ran. Pound, pound, pound through the hallway, past the office, around the corner, and into the bathroom he ran, his tears mingling with his sneakers on the tile floor. He pulled off his dashiki and threw it on the ground. Yesterday, Obina cried. Oh, how I wish it was yesterday instead. He cried for Nigeria. He cried for the sun and the savannah and the ocean. He cried to be normal, but he couldn't. He was different, different like his dashiki.
There was a knock on the door. Obina, it was Mrs. Sharonda. Obina wiped his eyes, sniffed, and went to his teacher. She handed him a tissue. Her eyes were soft, the kind of eyes that seem to know exactly what you're feeling without you having to say a word. They sat in silence for a long time. Then, never be ashamed of who you are, Obina, Mrs. Sharonda said. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. I'm not, Obina said. I'll never fit in. But I think that you, Obina, weren't made to fit in, Mrs. Sharonda said. You were made to stand out. You'll see. She gave Obina a hug and helped him put his dashiki back on. And, she said, I think our class will need your help in the school relay race. I haven't seen a boy run like you in all my years of teaching. How about you join the class on the field?
All the classes from the school were lined up along the field outside. Obina's class hooped and hollered with excitement, but Obina snuck to the back of the line, his hands deep in his pockets, as if he could pull himself in and hide. Yesterday, he thought to himself.
The principal stood at the edge of the field. At the sound of the whistle, each class must have one student run the length of the field and return to the line, he said. He or she must tag the next student, and they must run the field as well. The first class to have all students finish will be the winner. Ready? 3, 2, 1. There was a sharp blast of a whistle, and a student from each class sprinted across the field.
Obina couldn't help cheering with the rest of his class. The first student finished, and with Obina in line, there were 20 students left, then 15, then 10, then 5. Obina's class was tied for first with another class. 3 students left, still tied. 2 students left. The other class was pulling ahead. 1 student left. And then Obina realized it was his turn.
He slammed his sneakers into the grass. Pound, pound, pound. He pumped his arms. He rocketed across the field. Go, Obina, cheered Mrs. Sharonda. Go, Obina, screamed his class. In the excitement of the race, it seemed everything else was forgotten. His difference, his hair, his dashiki blowing furiously in the wind. Pound, pound, pound. He made it all the way to the end of the field and turned around for the final lane. The other class's last runner was a little way ahead of him. Obina put on a burst of speed and raced across the field. Pound, pound, pound. He ran past the half marker, past the quarter marker, past the end, and straight into the arms of his cheering classmates.
Miss Sharonda's class wins, said the principal. Miss Sharonda's class screamed and cheered and lifted Obina into their arms, dashiki and all. They marched back to class, this time with Obina at the front of the line. And as the excitement died down, some of Obina's classmates seemed to remember that Obina was different. They saw his hair. They took in his dashiki. But this time,
I'm sorry, Obina, said one boy. Me too, said a girl. I think what you're wearing is pretty neat, said another. Is that from where you're from? Obina grinned. He told them about the crimson sun. He described the golden savanna and the blue oceans. The class was amazed.
Miss Sharonda, they said, can we learn more about Nigeria? Obina smiled to himself. Today, he thought, today is the best day ever.
That's the end.
Can we read the back too? Because the coolest thing about this book, well, one of the coolest, there's a lot, but I love the front. But on the back, it says something that I think we heard in the book. It says, never be ashamed of who you are. You are beautifully and wonderfully made.
And this book was just released this summer. So these are some of the first copies, and I let Miss Potter know how much I loved this book, and I hope you guys loved it too.
Oh my gosh, what a great story. And it was such an exciting story. I was on the edge of my seat, but it also had such an important message.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Shamrock Gardens, actually, because I saw like these amazing, courageous people that, you know, make mistakes because they're humans, and then they clean up their mistakes. Like people were saying sorry, and people were also like not giving up, you know, and like there's so many amazing things about this book that just, it reminded me of all of us at school and all of our students and our amazing teachers too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like Obina was able to turn everything around too. It didn't start out so pretty for him, but it ended so wonderfully, and he didn't change who he was. They accepted him for being different and were realizing that it's okay that they were different, but that he still was awesome.
And not only that, but now they're going to get to learn all about a different country and a different culture. So, you know, it's not just that it's okay to be different. It's great to be different because we can learn all these different things from each other.
I mean, his dashiki is pretty cool.
I'm pretty jealous. I mean, I like to think that my outfit's pretty rad, but I think that, you know, it looks like we got some of the same embroidery going on there.
Yes,
so,
yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so
Obina.
much for sharing that, Ms. Christensen, and Ms. Mott for collaborating with the holding up the book. That was fantastic. And we can't wait to do our next social justice book next month for October. I can't wait to see what we come up with for that.
Absolutely. I'll be back on the first Monday of every month.
Awesome. Well, we will see you next month, and we'll see everybody else in the morning on Live with Lucky. Goodbye.